Well, for tonight, we will study .NET framework using VB.NET. So my name is Dr. Vanavedhanante, and in this course, we are going to see a comprehensive exploration of Microsoft Powerful Development Platform, and that's the Visual Basic Programming using .NET. And .NET includes C Sharp, F Sharp, and so on. So in this presentation, we'll cover everything from fundamental architecture to some advanced features, and also it will equip you with essential knowledge of modern application development using .NET. And let's begin with the introduction. So .NET, what is .NET Framework? The core definition of .NET Framework is a Microsoft comprehensive software development platform designed for building robust Windows application and web services as well. So Windows Presentation Foundation, WinForms, and web application such as ASP, Active Server Pages, and so on are basically basic .NET developed with basic .NET framework. And there are some key components, so I'll highlight 4 of them. So the first key component is Framework Class Library, FCL, Framework Class Library. So it is an extensive collection of reusable classes and method such as encryption standard and WinForms functionalities such as button and the properties, text and the properties, and so on. So there are also common language runtime, CLR, which manage the memory, which manage the security of the platform framework, and also for program execution. And also there's multi-language support. So .NET is support, as I had mentioned earlier, support the VB.NET, the F Sharp, the C Sharp, and more that share the same runtime. So using Xmarine, you can develop mobile application using the VB.NET language itself as well. So another thing is VB.NET is a cross-platform capabilities now. So since the .NET become open source, it can be used in Linux, it can be used in Mac, and so on. So cross-platform capabilities enable us to build applications that run across different environment. That is for the web. Web is for everyone, whether it's a Linux or Windows or Mac or Chrome OS. So on top of that, we can also develop a desktop application using .NET for a Linux operating system and Microsoft operating system, and so on. So let's move on to the next slide. So what are the framework architecture? So I just have highlight the application such as WinForm, web apps, console program, the one you see in the terminal, or maybe we're using command prompt. You can do lots of tasks, or those applications are developed by .NET. We can develop it with .NET as well. So common language runtime, we already discussed. So the preview classes and functions, as I had mentioned earlier, that's the framework class library, and also Windows platform integration on different platform as well. So the supporting system are already highlighted. So command type system, the CTS command type system ensures the type compatibility, where common language specification, CLS, defined language interoperability standard in this case. So in the background, we can see the presentation layers and the application layers. So the bridge between the application layers and the presentation layers is done by the REST Web API. So presentation layer may be the single page application, web application, mobile application, desktop application that are run in a server or maybe in a client and so on, which then use the REST API to query it from the application layer. So the application layer has a command or query and so on that fetch the data from the database or from other repository or from other server. So we can say that due to those technology, VB is very much modern framework that can be used and developed with for all types of platforms. So first of all, in the introduction to VB, we can have modern evaluation. So we transform the classes to DLL file or executable file or some other binary files. So we are basically transforming the classic Visual Basic into a fully object-oriented modern programming language integrated with .NET ecosystem. And secondly, we also have in VB.NET, we also have readable syntax like a human language. So the language itself, whether it is C# or F# or VB.NET, it's basically English like keywords and structure make what's language. So if then we are writing some variables in the condition, then do this, otherwise do that. Similarly, for loop, we are writing as for each condition, and then the block of the execution the statement for executing those blocks. So it's naturally a high-level language, but the natural language flow is very much readable. So third, we have an event-driven power. So .NET is built for responsive application and with a robust event handling, and also the GUI is very much acceptable and also very much user-friendly for user interaction. So application type supports are like Windows Form application that has a rich GUI already, and also ASP.NET Web Forms and Web Services, and also console application for backend processing and class libraries and reusable component as well as we can see in modern application development framework as well. So what are the basic programming with VB.NET? So there are variables, there are data types, control structure, procedures, and exception handling as well. So variables, we mostly use dim keyword for declaration of a variable. And also for types, we have integer, we have strings, we have boolean, double, and that. And also we have constant. So we use const keyword to declare a variable as a constant type. And also interface, such as option infer. As in other programming, we have interface keyword as the interface itself, but in VB.NET, we will be writing as interface option infer. So we do have a control structure as well, such as if else control structure. If some condition, then we write then we follow with the statement which have to be executed with that condition. And also we have else if we have a different condition, and what statement to be executed with that else if will follow. And at last, we can have the else condition for the default to be executed. If the condition of those first condition, second condition of else if, third, and so on, if else if are continuing. And also we do have a select case for multiple conditions, such as case 1, case 2, case 3, and so on. So we can write as switch case in case of C programming language. In VB.NET, we will be writing as a select case. So next, for the loop, we have for each and also for next keywords to write the for loop and looping statement. And not only in for loop, not only for loop and for each looping, we also have while and do while, do until, and so on. So VB.NET is very much rich in the programming test. Therefore, we can choose which way we prefer to write the program as well. So thirdly, we have procedures such as sub-procedures that perform some actions like button trigger, button hover, and so on. And also function procedures such as if button is clicked, what kind of functions have to be executed. We can use a function keyword to define a function in VB.NET, and we can have a lots of instruction written within that function block. And also, along with that function, we can have parameters. So the parameters can be by values or by reference. So by reference will update the value whenever that function is called. The original variable will also always be updated, whereas in by val, only within that function, the variable value change will take action. So parameters, as in different programming, we do have very much stronger and user-friendly calling procedures and passing parameters in VB.NET as well. And also optional and array parameters are also available if we wish to have that as a parameters in VB program. And also we have error handling. So we can have an exceptional handlings and also that try block, catch block, and maybe the final throw block will be there. So in try block code will be written for executing some process or some steps. So if the trying has some error, it will jump to the catch block. And once it fails on board, then the program dies. Otherwise, we try something, we catch it, and if catching is not having any issues to be displayed, then the final block can be again called up to clean up the code. And also, if there are any error, we can throw it using throw keywords as well. So let's move on to the next slide. VB.NET is a programming object-oriented programming language. So basically, if it is OOPS programming, that's object-oriented programming. Then we do have class and objects, encapsulation, inheritance, polymorphism, abstract interface, and so on. So even in VB.NET, we have class and objects. So class basically defines the blueprint with class keywords, and also we can create instance using new and constructor initialize the object state as well. And in encapsulation, we do have hiding some implementation code or details using private. And also we can make the function to be a public or protected as well. If it is public, it can be accessed in public. Protected, then in some extent it can be accessed, but with some restriction. And if it is private, so within that particular code itself only can be executed. So properties with that get set to set the values within that accessors, control data access, are very much user-friendly using VB.NET. So whatever variable values we want to set, we will be defining such variable within the set blocks. And if we want to return that value, then we can do it using the get block. So set and get can be defined easily. So next features in the OOPS with VB can be polymorphism. So we have overrides, keywords to redefine base method, and overloads that provide multiple method signatures, and must override that force the implementation as well. And the fourth one is inheritance. So in the inheritance, we extend the base class into into maybe the child class. So we can extend the base class using the inherit keyword, and we can use the codes from the base class and establish a relationship. So the child can have the my base keyword to define the parent member. And next is interface. So interface define the contract using interface keyword, and classes implement with implements keyword. Um, then it create a basic interface. So the interface ensure consistent behavior across types. And next we have abstract classes. So using must inherit keyword for base classes that can be instantiated means it combined implemented and abstract method. So let's dive into the VB.NET IDE. Basically, we have Visual Studio to work with the GUI programming and also to write classes and objects code, or maybe developing the console application. So as we can see in the screen, the Visual Studio screenshot is given. So visual development basically provide lots of tools component as well. So Windows Phone provide a rapid application development environment with intuitive drag and drop design capabilities. So basically on the left hand side, there will be a toolbox. Under the toolbox, we'll have lots of components which can be used in that WinForm, such as button, drop down, combo box, radio button, checkbox, label, and so on. Many more, many are there. So what we can do with those components, then we can write the event-driven model, such as button.click, mouse hover, mouse leave, key press, what key is pressed, all those things we can define. And for the text box, we can listen to the event of text change, key up, key down, and so on. And also we can have some event fire on the form load, on the form closing, and so on. And also we can create a custom handler for any controls that we use from the toolbox. And also the form design can be maybe a single box or maybe resizable form and so on. So the toolbox with pre-built controls are available with when we use Visual Studio to develop VB.NET application, especially on WinForm. And also the properties windows are there. As we can see in the screen, in this site Solution Explorer, we can have the properties just below this. We can, if you want to keep it. So this is the site on your right hand side that is a Solution Explorer. So you can have all types, all the different forms you have, the project settings, and so on. And also we have a layout manager that can be changed for responsive view, I should say, and also visual inheritance for consistent UI as well. So as we can see here below this box, we have, let me just open up a pen. We have a text box here, we have buttons, we have labels, we have list box, and so on. This box basically look like this. So lots of components are there, so we will not be able to discuss each and every tool component. Therefore, I will just leave it here. So if there is any question, you can always ask me in the later classes, or maybe using my contact. Okay, so in the next slide, we will see accessing database using ADO.NET for Visual Basic or Visual VB.NET. So database, any database can be used for such as MySQL, MS SQL, or MS Access or maybe Progress or any other database using the driver, access driver, ADO.NET. We can connect it to those database that then we can interact with the database directly from the application. So what is ADO.NET? ADO.NET actually provides a comprehensive framework for database connectivity and manipulation in .NET application. So first of all, we will establish the connection using SQL connection object with connecting string to the database, such as the host name or the server, and the credentials such as user ID and password, and the database itself. So once we establish the connection, we can create a command using SQL command object with SQL queries or store procedure, and then we can set parameters for security as well. So there we can execute create database, use database, create tables, insert, update, delete, and so on. And also we can that's come to the third step, executing and retrieving. So we can do executing and reading using data reader for forward only reading, and we can use data adapter object to fill the data sets for complex operation that will be pushed to the database and also back and front. And that brings us to data binding. That will be the fourth step. So data binding connects data to the user control automatically. Then whenever updates happen with the values, the update change back to the database seamlessly without any problem. So basically with VB.NET, we can do create, read, update, delete operation, as I had just mentioned. So insert statement, add new records, select queries, retrieve data from the database, update query, just modify the existing records, and delete keyword, remove records from the database. And let's move on to the next topic. So what are the mostly the basic structures are discussed. There are lots of things that can be done. For example, even if we are working with hands-on practical, lots of basic VB.NET are still there. As I mentioned earlier, that we cannot discuss each and everything in this one lecture. So maybe if you want to contact me for any doubts or any questions, then you can always reach me. Okay, so next is advanced VB.NET features. So the delegates and events in the VB.NET play as an advanced features. So type set function such as pointer enabling, callback mechanism, and creating custom event for components communication. Delegates keyword can be used to define the signature, and event keyword declares the events as well. So these keywords are multicast delegates, chain method, and event handler respond to the raised events, and add handler or remove handler dynamically bind those as well. And next is we have a linkware. So linkware is basically language integrated query. So query collections, databases, and XML with unified syntax. Such as so we write SQL-like queries directly with the VB code for powerful data manipulation, such as from where select syntax are available using the linkware. So actually, we are not interacting with the SQL directly yet. We are manipulating in the memory level to manipulate the data. So filter, project, and aggregating the data are also possible using the linkware procedure. And also we work with objects, databases, and XML in any later stage. Whatever manipulation with the data we're done, can be passed on to the database to store or maybe to do the process further manipulation in the database itself. So next we have multi-threading basic. So VB.NET basically support uh, the multi-threading, which means that we can create responsive application that does not freeze during long operation. And system threading namespace provide thread management and also the background workers for asynchronous tasks is there, and thread synchronization with logs is also there, and thread pools and efficiency for the threads are also available. And last not the least, in the advanced features of VB.NET, we can say async and await pattern. Whenever we want to fetch, read, or push the data into the database or to the web server using APIs or anything, then we can use async await modified methods to pause or to execute without blocking any others input output execution. So non-blocking input output performance can be done, and then we can also improve the UI responsiveness where the data is retrieved. We can show some other animation without any problem on the application level itself. So we do have a task-based asynchronous pattern as well. So uh, as we can see in this picture, uh, when the application is requesting from somewhere, the user on the application level will see connecting or some other animating cursors or something like that. Then once from the back end, the response comes, then in the application screen, we will be able to see the outcome as well. So that's all we will see for this class. If there is any question and answer, so that question and answer can be asked. Otherwise, I will go for a conclusion and what you can do with VB.NET in your further tasks or further development. Okay, I think there are no questions, so I'll move on to the conclusion and what you can do with VB.NET. So we had seen the VB.NET framework application development basic with having a strong foundation of OOPS principles, and it is very much essential for professional development. So event-driven programming models include such as a responsive, interactive application, which we see actually in the VB.NET features. And also, we had mentioned about Duo.NET, which integrate the database connectivity and also for data-driven application. So there are lots of things we can do. We just highlight that those and what you can do beyond this course, beyond this lecture. You can practice the hands-on or some small examples and use the Visual Studio IDE as much as possible. We should explore the debugging, intelligence, and project management features. We should explore the tools, components, and their properties, and we should build some small project. We should integrate forms. We should integrate database connectivity, and we should also use the OOPS concept. And also we should practice the CRUD operation, sometimes create new data, sometimes read those data which are already pushed in the database and update those data which are already in the database, manipulating them, and also to delete some data from the database. So we can create the railway data entry management application. And next is experiment with advanced features such as link web queries, asynchronizing program async functionalities should be explored. So I recommend you to see Microsoft documentation website. That's the official VB.NET documentation. And there are lots of examples, there are lots of tutorials as well. And also you should explore the GitHub code project uh, and some others places such as Kaggle for practical platforms. Some other people had already kept their tutorials of their code, their application, which they had developed for open source. So those should be explored, and you can learn a lot from there. Me myself, I had learned a lot from Code Project. Nowadays, it is not much that popular like it used to be, but still it is very much useful. Community forums are always there if you encounter any problem while writing or designing any application, be it WinForm, be it web application using ASP.NET, or maybe Windows Presentation Foundation environment. You can always refer to Stack Overflow, and also you can see from the Microsoft Developer Network, MSDN. So you can post your problem, or you just search with the query that there may be other people who have posted the similar errors, and you can read those workaround comments which they have written. So it's not that we'll just copy and paste the code from the internet, and since it just work like that, we should not just stop there. We should try to know each and every line, each and every function, each and every event that are being fired, called, created. Then we will be able to learn the VB.NET application. We'll be able to master it. At least try to develop tens or more applications during this course. So you can drop any questions if you encounter any kind of issues during your practical session. So I'll be answering those questions if you wish to uh, ask me any queries. So if there are any questions, then anytime you are welcome. So continue exploring the powerful capabilities of VB.NET and the the .NET framework itself to build professional grade application. All the best, and thank you very much for listening my lecture. Thank you.